Hi, my name is Sandy Goehring, and I am a digital learning coach for Keep Indiana Learning. I'm here to talk about part two of my multi tiered Systems of Support 101 series. Just a reminder that this is just a brief overview of the MTSS process and some ideas for implementation. In the first session, I discussed the basics of MTSS. I defined it, briefly talked about each tier, and shared the building blocks needed to create your process. In the next three sections, we will dig a little deeper into each of the tiers. We will talk about what it could look like, discuss suggestions for a successful process, and next steps. Again, this is just a snapshot. For more information, be sure to check out keepindianalearning.org. So let's get started with Part 2, Tier 1. Again, we'll spend a few minutes going over each part of the Tier 1 infographic, talking more about Tier 1 instruction and a few reminders, and then next steps. You are going to be able to find this infographic at keepindianalearning.org, and it will be linked in the video. So, what is Tier 1? Tier 1 is what many educators and MTSS specialists would consider the most important tier. In fact, some research suggests that the MTSS pyramid should be flipped so that Tier 1 is at the top. So, what is Tier 1? Well, this is the core classroom instruction. 75 to 90% of the school's population should fall in this tier. If there is less than 75%, you need to consider looking at the effectiveness of your core instruction. Students receive curriculum that is standard-based and supports the whole child, meaning that academics, social and emotional learning, and behavior skills are taught. All students participate in small groups, and interventions are school-wide. Students receive grade-level material through a multitude of ways, and differentiation is used to meet the needs of most of the learners. Now, let's discuss ideas for creating a strong core instructional model. One idea is to use common language throughout the building. This is not only academic vocabulary, but even when you are setting up school-wide procedures, conflict resolution, and doing restorative practices, and even neuroscience strategies. Students will hear this language several times throughout the day and in different parts of the building. They will begin to feel a sense of community and have ownership of their learning. They will know that this is a place where everyone succeeds. Another way to create a successful core is to look at data and standards to make sure the needs of the learners are being met. Teams meeting regularly as a professional learning community, coming together to look at common assessments and student work and observations, and discussing ways to help all students meet the needs of standards is essential to a strong core. After looking at the data, it becomes easier to create differentiated instruction based on student needs. By becoming laser focused on individual student progression toward mastery of the standards, small groups and one on one instruction can be tailored to meet each learner. Lastly, is the core universally designed for all learning? This is another completely different topic, but look deep to see if all learners have equal access to the curriculum, as stated in Universal Design for Learning. So, what are the next steps if a student needs more support than what is given during core instruction? Well, during an MTSS meeting, a complex systematic data review takes place. The striving learners benchmark data, student work, behavior data if it's a concern, and other data is shared. It is very important to consider many data points and try to look for common skill deficits. Then, if the student is not showing consistent growth during core instruction with school-wide interventions and small groups and through regular differentiation, the team determines if the child needs to transition to Tier 2. Again, this is a team decision. Let's wrap up our Tier 1 discussion with some reminders. Tier 1 is about supporting the whole child. Instruction is delivered to support academic and social emotional needs. Data, data, data. If an educator has a concern about a student, start collecting data immediately. It doesn't have to be a test or a project or performance task. There are many ways for students to demonstrate mastery. And finally, as I said earlier, the child's performance shouldn't be a surprise to guardians. The child's progress should have been discussed many times prior to a tier 2 conversation. So keep those guardians informed. This is going to wrap up our tier 1 conversation. Join me next time for part 3, tier 2. Remember to check out Keep Indiana Learning for more information on MTSS and many other educational topics. Follow Keep Indiana Learning on all of your social media platforms, and feel free to connect with me on Twitter at Sandy Goehring. See you next time. Bye-bye.